Hello there, this is Jeff Erdman, E.D.S. Inc. Shandon, and we're on a road trip again. We've got some steel up in Washington, good price, so I'm headed up there to pick that up today. This is Labor Day, Monday Labor Day. Hope to be there tonight. Picked up some stuff tomorrow morning and head on back down this way again this morning. I'm in Salinas. I've been traveling for about 2.5 hours since I left this morning. Here is cold. Now, folks that are from the east will be laughing at me. It's probably about 57 degrees, but I'm used to this summer. It's been 100, 107 all summer long, and to come up here to this is pretty cold. So anyway, I'll take you along with me. We'll see the sights, and maybe we'll get back into some machining content and stuff as we get the shop finished up and we get machines running and what have you. So sorry we haven't had too much of that. Thanks much for watching. Crossing the bay. Toll on this was only $25 across this bridge. Isn't that wonderful? And that's where they used to store a lot of the old Navy boats and stuff out there. In fact, they got a few sitting out there you can barely see. All the fields that you see out here are all the rice fields, and they're maturing real nice. Should have a good crop out there, it looks like. Heading towards it anyhow. This whole upper northern California raises a whole lot of rice, along with tree nuts and that sort of thing. Part of that guided goose hunts. Oh, here we come through Weed again. It's a little town up here in Northern California. A little odd name, that of Weed. Of course, my son in the last video did a little jest on that. Going by a little town called Weed here in Northern California. Use the example, don't do drugs. So anyway, but that's not what they do up here in Weed. It's not what it's known for. Although I'm sure there's many little private gardens with that vine growing, but that's not what the town's about. I stopped up here just north of Weed. There's an airport, and they've got an old firefight plane parked out here. I imagine it was originally from World War II or something. Well, we're coming to Wairika. This is where I came up last month and picked up the ductwork that I'm going to use for my shop. And this is one of the northernmost towns of California. We've only got not too many miles to go before we get to the border with Oregon. We're about 6 hours from Portland right now. What I'd like to do is get across the river and into Washington itself, and then find some place to stay and Should be there by about 10 o'clock tonight, and get up early in the morning, and I'll travel on into Tacoma, the location where I'm going, to pick up the product that I purchased up there. I got some steel that wasn't the steel I really wanted. I wanted to have eye metal. This is all steel tube, but it's 6x6 steel tube, and it's got a 1/4 inch wall, so I figured that I could use that to make that work. Also, for what I need it for, a little bit of alterations in my plans, but I can make it work. Also, I bought 27 pieces of angle iron. They're about 3 inch by 3 inch angle iron, 22 feet long. So all that'll play into what my original plans for that metal was. There were 2 lots of the 6x6 steel, which would have been perfect for what I intended it for. Now I'm going to have to make a few things up, do a little bit more fab work to turn that 3x3 steel into some trusses for some work that I'm doing. You can see these right up here. They have a couple of models of a cow and a calf made out of steel. Not a very realistic look, but it was a good try anyway. So that's what I'm going up to Washington for. There's a dragon made out of steel. See the ruins of homes that have been burned in this area. Some of them were saved, obviously. I've seen quite a few that were just totally burned to the ground. We saved quite a few on this side. Fire burned down through here. Farmer sharing his sentiments for the firefighters that helped save his property. The American flag. Thank you on his barn. Welcome to Oregon. We just entered Oregon. Too much different than California did the other side of that sign. Except there's no fire here. Because California is the only one that burned down this year. Last year, Oregon, California, everything was burning. Washington was burning.
Burns, 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 the ring of fire.
The whole West Coast was on fire. See, it's a very pretty little valley down here. So we come down into it. Surrounded by hills. There's a river that goes through the center of it. A beautiful place to live. The temperature right now is 87 degrees. This is Medford, Oregon, and back is, I can't say as far as I can remember, but back many years ago, they had a single building on the top of that hill. Now they've got quite a few, but I remember that always standing out to me as we came down through this hill. this valley, seeing those multi-story buildings on the hill. Being a country boy, not seeing high-rises or anything that often, that kind of stood out. We're currently at Grants Pass. We're getting ready to, this whole area out here is all Grants Pass, and just over this hill up ahead we'll drop down and then we'll climb the pass. So that's coming up here. Beautiful area here as well. There's Grants Pass coming up in front of us. The actual pass itself that we'll be climbing. So I'll go back and get it focused. Yeah. Well, you can't see much, but we're starting our ascent right now. Just thought I'd share some of this countryside. It's just really gorgeous. Covered with trees, not just evergreens, but poplar and whatever else is up there. I'm not sure. I'd have to get up close to see it, but it's just beautiful. So we're kind of going from the mountains and the evergreens down to the valley. Pretty soon we'll be just a few miles, we'll be down pretty much on flat land, and it'll be the river valley and a lot of farmland and that sort of thing there. Real pretty country as well. We'll see that in just a short bit of time. I've been traveling now for 11 hours. It's 5:16 p.m. and I will stop until probably about 10 o'clock tonight, so I've got another 5 hours driving to do. I'm hoping that'll put me right close to Tacoma. I'm hoping to be somewhere around in Olympia by then. I might be wrong, but that's what I'm shooting for. And then I can get up and I can get a good night's rest and get up and be up there first thing in the morning to pick up my load and head on back. Show you that river. Pretty. Umpqua. Some of the flat country I was talking about, you can see it's surrounded by mountains on either side. The valley's widened out quite a bit here. I can't really swing it the other way. Wouldn't be able to see. But it's really wide, maybe 30 miles wide right here. And all nice and flat. Good farmland around here. I've got my load, as you can see. We've got a bunch of steel. A little cost savings coming up here to pick it up. It's still going to cost me probably about $4,000 or $5,000 if I was to buy it. A steel distributor. I was able to pick this up for under $1,000, so it was worth the trip up here. And this will help me get my shop moving and leaving. So that's what we came up to Tacoma for, and we're ready to head on back down. When you're as was last year or the year before. My wife and I were heading up here to pick up the dual bandsaw. Right in this area right here. I was bound the other direction, but a fellow right in here went through that center fence. He was in a little truck and rolled. Stuff ended up in our oncoming traffic. I pulled over and I ended up directing traffic for about an hour until emergency vehicles got here. The guy was okay, surprisingly. But in the back of his truck were all his, he apparently was a carpenter and he was also doing fence work. He had all his fencing tools and stuff in his truck as well. And all that was spread across the highway. So we ended up limiting the northbound lane to one lane, which you can imagine with traffic about what you see it now, caused some pain for those poor commuters until we got it all cleaned up. Farmers out there disking up some land, getting it ready to seed, go through the full cycle again. Seed, grow, harvest. Got a lot of acreage out there to, it looks like he's got it pretty near ready. Pasture out here. Cattle grazing on it. We got some permanent grass out there. Beautiful little setting. Looks like they're all eating out there on a golf course or something. We're coming down to Sunny Valley. This is where the covered bridge is. We still have sunlight, so we're going to stop and take a little visit down to the bridge. So this is the Grave Creek covered bridge, and it was built in 1920 for a total of $21,128.65 when Elmer J. Nilsson to provide passage across this creek here. And this area down here was settled back in 1846. The original settlement was across the other side of the bridge. And this little map here kind of shows the layout of the houses, where they were, and where they had a fort there. And it shows where the fort was. This is the fort area here. So across the bridge and to the left was the fort and stockade and what have you, and then the little community around it. So this is called Grave Creek because a young girl, when they first settled here, ended up getting sick. I think it was of measles. I don't see it listed here. Yeah, I don't see it listed here. But at any rate, the young girl died, and they buried her on the other side of the creek, and so it came to be known as Grave Creek. So there was an uprising against the settlers here back in the early days, in 1855, 1856, and quite a few folks were killed here at the fort here. It said 37 were killed, wounded, or missing from the battle that took place at the stockade. that's kind of the little story of this area here, and I'll conclude. Hello there, again Jeff Erdman with E.D.S. Inc. Shandon, and we just finished our road trip just the other day. Actually, it was at the beginning of the week. This is Friday now, and my son wants to finish his editing, so we're working on doing a conclusion for that video. I know road trips are boring. What we're going to do is try to give you, the reason I go up to Washington so much is because I've picked up some very nice machines. One of the first machines that I picked up in Washington is an Ajax mill. You've seen that in some of my other videos being used. I got that up at Fort Lewis, near the Tacoma area in Washington. And this is my Ajax mill, and it served me quite well since I've gotten it. It didn't have that many hours on it. We got a really good deal on the machine, and it was worth getting. We also got the Max 16-inch disc sander, which is another nice machine. I still haven't got that hooked up and running. We haven't used it yet. It's wired for 480. I have to get it down to 280, or I may just bring in power for 480. I've got a box now in my electric room that we can pull 480 out on, so we might just do that and just run circuits on 480, and we'll see what happens. So that's yet to come. Another trip we took up to the same location, Fort Lewis in Washington, was to pick up my dual bandsaw. And this bandsaw has served us very well since we got it. We've done a lot of work with that bandsaw, and you're going to see some video coming up that we're going to be doing some more work with it. We're actually going to be using that dual to help build some trusses for an extension on our shop. We're going to put a loft in the machine shop, and that's where all our grinding equipment is going to go. Now, when I picked up the dual, I also got, as you can see on the truck bed, a Cincinnati tool grinder. That has not been operational since I've gotten it. I got it at a very good price, but it needs some work done to it. So once I get my loft built, we'll put it up there. I'll tear the thing all the way down. We'll fix it, and we'll get it up and running, and then start sharpening some of our tools with it, maybe even making some interesting stuff with it, like we've seen with Steve Summers and his videos. So that's yet to come, and these tools will be of good purpose for me in this shop. They've already proved to be very useful in what we're doing. So nice acquirement from an auction up there in the Tacoma area in Washington. And the next acquirement is this, my Monarch lathe. That's really one of the key points for going up there. Now this lathe I picked up at an auction in Aberdeen, which is over on the coast, and it was a machine shop that was shutting down. There was also a lathe that was 144 inches between centers. It was huge. We got to see that loaded. There was a radial arm saw in there with, what was it, like a 15-inch column, I think it was, on that thing. It was huge, big Carlton. And monstrous machine that wouldn't even fit in this building. It was so big. And we got to watch all that stuff being loaded. It was quite fun. And so that was another trip that my son and I made together. Of course, these trips was before our YouTube channel started. So I want to thank you for viewing this. We're going to continue on with a few other items as we go. So that's the road trip to Washington series. So you got to see some of our other trips up there. I think Zach included some other videos of our trips in the past, or not videos, but pictures along the way. And that helps you to see why I run all the way up there. That equipment sold for very little money in comparison to what I've seen it in other places. Here in California, you can't buy equipment for any decent price, even on auctions, it goes way up. And we were able to buy all those pieces of tooling at a very reasonable rate. It was worth the trip up there. It's just like this last run with the steel, it was worth the trip. I had acquired about $5,000 worth of steel up there. And with my trip and everything, it's just a little bit over $1,400 that I have invested in. So it was well worth the trip up there to do that. At any rate, while you're viewing with us on E.D.S. Inc., I know that road trips isn't the reason that you watch. You want to see machining, you want to see things being made, and we're working on that. We're working on the shop, trying to get it set up and usable in the machine shop, and so that we can start producing things out of there. It's a slow process. My time is mostly spent in an office, staring at plans all day, doing orders and that sort of thing. And so with the limited time I have, I come out and I work in the shop and get things organized. And of course all the fellows I have working in here are producing. They're trying to get product out so that we make money so everybody can be paid. So, with that being said, With that being said, I know there's been a lot of road trips. We're going to get on to doing some actual machining work here real soon. You're going to see us as we build the loft in the machine shop. You're going to watch as we do some other smaller work as we get machine after machine set up. You're going to see us restore machines in here and that sort of thing. So we ask that you continue watching us, see how we develop, and you can either subscribe or you can continue watching other videos that we have here of E.D.S. Inc. Shandon. And thanks for coming on board with us.